Hello everyone, welcome to Taksha by MeroSiksha. I am Vivejana Sharma and I am here present to you all with the reading passes. So by now you might have already been much familiar with how to deal with the reading passes that will be appearing in your examination. So whenever we are dealing with the reading passes, make sure that first of all when you receive it, go to the questions. So first let us go to the question section here as well. So here with the reading passes we are provided two different sets of questions. One is to decide whether the provided statements are true, false or not given, and another is to answer, we are supposed to answer the provided questions to us. So we are supposed to provide answers to the questions. So now in order to solve these two questions we are supposed to in order to solve this, we are supposed to go through the reading passes. So whenever we receive reading passes, so even though we know it's quite tough for us to solve it, we should not be taking it as a difficult task, but rather if you enjoy reading the reading passes, if you enjoy your task, it will be much more easier for you. So now let us begin and go through the passes first. So here in the passage talks about Pratap Malla. So whenever you receive a reading passage, make sure that you use a strategy, that is the scanning and the scheming, so that you scan the information provided. So it is for sure that we will not be having enough time in our examination to be going line by line and then understanding the meaning. So we have to be we have to speed up and then go through the passages. So let us know what is the main idea of the first paragraph first. So here the first paragraph talks about Pratap Malla. So Pratap Malla was one of the most famous kings of Malla dynasty. So he also constructed some magnificent and beautiful architectural structures around Kathmandu. So the way he got to the so here in this first paragraph we are provided the information who Pratap Malla was and what he did. So it's like the introductory paragraph. So here, so now as we went through the first paragraph, now let us go through this statement. Let us move to the statements that are provided to us in our question section and find out whether any of the ideas matches with the idea or not. So moving on to the question. So moving on to the question here of section A, in which has asked us to identify whether the statements are true, false or not given. Let us find it out. So question number 1 reads, Pratap Malla imprisoned his father because his father was mad. So is this statement provided to us in the first paragraph or not? So you should be very watchful about the used keywords as well. In that particular question we have found the word imprisoned. Now let us search for the word imprisoned in the first paragraph as well. So I've already found out where the word imprison is. So now it's your turn. So yeah, so here the last sentence of the first paragraph reads, when his father Lakshminara Singh's madness grew worse, he imprisoned his father and he himself ruled as a resident of his father in Kantipur. So yeah, the provided statement matches with the idea with the paragraph. So what are we going to do? We are going to label this as the true. So it was quite easier for us to find out the answer as well. So because the information was explicitly mentioned in the paragraph. So these sorts of questions, if the ideas, if the answer, if we are able to receive answer easily, or the information in the paragraph are presented explicitly, then we can consider it as a question pattern that connects to the idea of literal comprehension as well. So let us read the another question, and the question reads, Pratap Malla's diplomacy helped him to make his state strong. So now find out whether his diplomacy helped him to make the state strong or not. So now let us move to the another paragraph now, as we are done with the first paragraph. So now second paragraph reads, he was an able administrator. Now let us find out whether he's being able to rule helped in order to make the Kantipur strong or not as well. So Kantipur was highly developed during his reign. Trade with Lhasa was also going on well. By his tact, he was making the kings of Lalitpur and Bhaktapur play against each other. Sometimes he sided with Bhaktapur and posed a threat to Lalitpur. On other occasions, he aligned with Lalitpur and fell upon Bhaktapur. So now here, through this paragraph, we can have an idea that he was an able administrator, because he time and again he was helping through his tactfulness to make Kantipur highly developed. So now, so even though the provided statement is not explicitly mentioned in this paragraph, but in order, while understanding the essence, we can have an idea that Pratap Malla's diplomacy had helped to make his state, that is Kantipur, strong. So this statement also is true. So now let us move to the another statement that is provided to us in question number 3. So Buranilkantha temple was also renovated by Pratap Malla. Now let us find out whether the temple was renovated by Pratap Malla or not. Now in order to find this, let us search for the keyword Buranilkantha in the paragraph and then have an idea. So as we are done with the paragraph first and the paragraph second, now let us move to the third paragraph, in which it is stated that Pratap Malla was a religious minded person. So can you see a keyword Buranilkantha temple over here? So yeah, I have found the keyword Buranilkantha over here at the very end of this paragraph. So here, and this line reads, he installed an image of Narayan lying in pond, an exact replica of Buranilkantha temple. But here the question reads, Buranilkantha temple was also renovated by Pratap Malla. So now, did you get any idea like whether the statement aligned with the idea that has been presented in the passage or not? So here in the passage it is saying that it was the Buranilkantha temple, he did something to the Buranilkantha temple, but he did not renovate the Buranilkantha temple, but rather he just installed an image of Narayan lying in the pond, an exact replica of Buranilkantha temple. So he did not renovate the Buranilkantha temple itself, but rather he tried to create the replica of the Buranilkantha temple. So now in this sense we can label this statement, which is in number C, as the first statement, because he did not renovate the Buranilkantha temple, but rather he just created the replica. So here this would be false. So now moving on to the next question, that says Pratap Malla's familial background also supported him to run effectively. So now here we have to find whether his family background helped him in ruling the Kantipur effectively or not. So let us find out whether the information is provided, where the information is provided, and whether the statement is the information that the statement is asking us is provided in the passage or not. So here in the next paragraph, it deals with Pratap Malla's was vastly learned king and a poet. This is talking about his characteristics, his ideas, his learning habits and all. So I think in this paragraph we won't be receiving anything regarding his family background as well, which helped him to rule effectively. So let us go to the paragraph and find out whether the information is present or not. So Pratap Malla was vastly learned king and a poet. He could compose poems in Sanskrit, Nepal Bhasa, Nepali, Bengali and Hindi. So he himself learned, Pratap Malla had a galaxy of learned men in his palace. So yeah, this paragraph is only talking about his ideas, what are his learning habits. So now moving on to the next paragraph, let us find out whether the idea aligns with the statement or not. So Lambakarna Bhatta, who hailed from Maharashtra, Narasimha Thakur from Bihar, and Jamana Guru Bhazu of Kantipur were some of the jewels in the galaxy of scholars in his palace. So in this paragraph as well, we are not going to find any of the information that helps us to understand his family background. So it is entirely focusing on his characteristics and his learning habits and his ideas. So now moving on to the next paragraph, let us search whether we will find the idea that we are searching for or not. So next paragraph talks about Pratap Malla had 5 sons. So we are now the statement is starting to talk about his sons. So maybe we may receive information in this passage. So he wanted his sons to have experience in the administration of the country while he was still living. So he made each of them rule over the country. So unfortunately, his second son, and then to console the grieving queen, he made a huge pond in front of the present Sri Chandra College. That is, the pond is known as Rani Pokhari. So here in this paragraph as well, we are provided the information of his son, but we are not provided the information regarding his family background that helped us in understanding that it really supported his ruling ability effectively. So as the information, we don't find any of the information, then we are supposed to indicate this as not given. The information is not given in the paragraph above. So now let us move to the fifth and the last question from section number A. Some treasures of past do not go with the glory of history. So now let us find out whether we will have the essence or we will have the exact idea in the passage here what the statement is trying to say or not. So the statement reads, some treasures of the past do not go with the glory of the history. So here, as we had already gone through the second last paragraph, let us now move to the last paragraph and know whether we will find the answer or not. So Pratap Malla had a sudden death while he was watching the religious dance of Harisiddhi. So during his reign for 33 years, Nepal made remarkable progress in each and every field. There was a peace and prosperity at home and no threats from outside. Trade with India and China made Nepal prosperous. Art and literature flourished. Kings of Bhaktapur, Lalitpur and other neighboring kingdoms did not dare to invade Kantipur. So in this paragraph, we have an idea that Pratap Malla died, but even though he died, before his death he had made remarkable progress. He had helped the state to flourish from different aspects. So now the statement is asking us, or the statement reads that some treasures of the past do not go with the glory of the history. So we are not going to get the exact, or we are not going to find the explicit idea what in the text, so what the statement is trying to say. So now we have to understand the essence and we have to relate, so we have to understand the underlying assumption. So this statement is hinting us that this question falls under the question segment, that is evaluation. So now, being based on the information provided in the passage, we have to find out whether we receive the proper essence that the statement is trying to provide to us, the statement is trying to provide to us. So the statement reads, some treasures of the past do not go with the glory of the history. So there are some of the treasures of the past, like the actions that are performed in the past, they don't just disappear. They just don't disappear with the forward of the time. So yeah, of course, this statement can be classified true because the ideas of Pratap Malla, or the actions that the Pratap Malla had performed in the history, had really made a remarkable impact in the present. So now let us move to the another question, that is, we are supposed to provide answer to the questions provided. And the question number 1 reads, how can you say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler? So now we are supposed to find out how can we say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler. So let us find out the answer in the first paragraph first. So in the first paragraph, this is the introductory paragraph we have already stated. So in this paragraph, we are provided the information regarding how the Pratap Malla was. So now let us read the paragraph again and find out whether he was a clever ruler or not. So Pratap Malla was one of the most famous kings of Malla dynasty. He constructed some magnificent and beautiful architectural structures around Kathmandu. The way he came to the throne is very interesting and controversial at the same time. He had the experience of administration even when his father was alive. So when his father's madness grew worse, he imprisoned. So he imprisoned his father and he began to rule. So in the first paragraph, he did not receive any of the information. So now let's move to the second paragraph. So the second paragraph talks about his ability as an administrator. So Kantipur was highly developed during his reign. Trade with Lhasa was going also on well. By his tact, he was making the kings of Lalitpur and Bhaktapur play against each other. So sometimes he sided with Bhaktapur and posed a threat to Lalitpur, and on other occasions aligned with Lalitpur and fell upon Bhaktapur. So yeah, did you get any of the insight after reading the second paragraph about his ability? Because the second paragraph clearly marks about his abilities, administrative ability. So let us read the question again. So how can you say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler? So as I went to the second paragraph, I can label this Pratap Malla as a clever ruler. So now what about your idea? What do you think? Was the Pratap Malla a clever ruler? And if you say yes, how is the question. So this question is not asking us the answer that is explicitly present in the passage, but rather this question is trying to know the idea. This question is also asking us to use our mindset, our understanding ability, our comprehensibility, and then answer the passage. So here the question reads, how can you say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler? So we can say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler because of his ability in making the kings of Lalitpur and Bhaktapur play against each other. So he was working with both the kings, like kings of Lalitpur and the Bhaktapur as well, and he was trying to bring profit to his Kantipur. So of course he did not made any of the idea of enmity with this Lalitpur and Bhaktapur, but rather with his tactfulness he made like space, and he also developed ideas, and because of this administrative ability is quite remarkable. So the answer would be, so how can you say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler? So we can say that Pratap Malla was a clever ruler because of his way on dealing with the kings of both the nation when he needed. So like kings of Bhaktapur as well as the king of Lalitpur. So now let us move to the another question, and the question reads, why do you think Pratap Malla mostly renovated religious sites during his reign? So why do you think Pratap Malla renovated his religious sites? So here we can mark the keywords as the religious sites, and let us find out in which passage the passage talks about the idea of religion. So we can find the idea of religion in the third paragraph. So the first line of the third paragraph reads that he was a religious minded person. So the answer is quite simple. Why was he renovating all the religious sites? Because he was religious minded person. So why do you think Pratap Malla mostly renovated religious sites during his reign? So Pratap Malla mostly renovated religious sites during his reign because he was a religious minded person. Because he was religious minded person. So now let us move to question number 3, and the question reads, how do his knowledge of different languages and writing of poem indicate Pratap Malla to be? So why when we went to the passage, we also got to know about his learning habits. We got to know that he was firstly learned king and a poet. Like he used to compose poem in like multiple languages like Sanskrit, Nepal Bhasa, Nepali, Bengali and Hindi as well. So now, being based on the past information provided on this passage, which talks about his learning ability and his ideas, his excellency in poetry, now we are supposed to answer the provided question. So now again, let us go through the passage question. So the question reads, what do his knowledge of different languages and writing of poem indicate Pratap Malla to be? So Pratap Malla's knowledge of different languages and writing of poems indicate that he was a knowledgeable person. He was a knowledgeable person, and also he was keen to learn. Also keen to learn ideas. So now let us move to the fourth question, and the question reads, mention the reason why Pratap Malla let all his 5 sons rule the country. So now let us find out in which paragraph the writer has mentioned about his 5 sons. So it is second last paragraph in which the writer talks about his 5 sons. Now let us find out why he asked his sons to rule, all 5 sons to rule. So the second line, let us begin from the second line. He wanted his sons to have experience in the administration of the country while he was still living. He made each of them rule over the country for 1 year in turn. So unfortunately, his second son, Chaitra Malla, died the next day. He took over the administration of the country. So now our answer lies in the second and the third line of the passage itself. So why he wanted his sons to rule? So because he wanted his sons to rule so that he can test their administrative ability when he was alive, and also teach them how are we supposed to rule whenever we are dealing with this diplomatic relations and all. So here now what can be the answer here? So what is the reason why Pratap Malla let all his 5 sons rule the country? So the reason why Pratap Malla let all his 5 sons rule the country was that he wanted them to teach the administrative skills and also let them experience when he was alive. So now let us deal with the very last question of this reading passage, and the question reads, do you think people were satisfied with Pratap Malla's reign? How can you say so? So now as we went through the passage multiple times, now being based on what you understood in the entire passage, you are supposed to answer this question. So in an entire passage we are not provided about people being satisfied or dissatisfaction, but here in the passage reads about his administrative skills, about his knowledge, about his interest in poetry, about his sons, about his tactfulness, and also about he being religious minded. So now, do you really think people were satisfied with Pratap Malla's reign? So yeah, of course, the provided information passes us the insight that people were quite satisfied. So the answer would be yes, people were satisfied with Pratap Malla's reign. But how can you say so? So you can say so because of his administrative skills and also of his tactfulness in dealing with the neighboring countries, and also he being religious minded, and also his ability and also his behavior in dealing with the other scholars that were present. So I hope I made it easier. Thank you so much.